Hey, Knicks fans, we have a special episode planned for you. The New York Knicks are rolling. Plus, Landry Shamet is back with the Knicks. And, of course, trivia at the end. So let's go.
Run that intro.
They're playing basketball.
Basketball.
You're listening to the Knicks Nation podcast, where we've got all your Knicks needs covered.
Puts up a three. Bang! Bang! He ties the game!
Now, live from the city that never sleeps, here are your hosts, Anthony and Chris.
What's going on, Knicks fans? Happy holidays, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another Knicks Nation podcast episode. This is podcast episode number 92. If you're listening on Spotify and Apple, please leave us a rating and also hit that follow button. It really helps us out. Knicks are 13-4 in their last 17 games. That is pretty darn good. Chris, Knicks are starting to hit their stride again, winning 5 straight road games and now coming back to MSG with some fairly winnable games. How we like them apples. The New York Knicks are back. Let's go.
How about them Knicks, man? Like you mentioned, the Knicks are rolling. 13-4 in their last 17. That's pretty damn good. I'm excited. Had a bit of a scare, versus the Pelicans. Things didn't start the way we'd want to, but they sure as hell ended the way we wanted it to end. Thanks to our captain, nonetheless, Jalen Brunson. But, Ant, how are you feeling tonight?
Couldn't be better. Holidays are here. Christmas is coming up. Hanukkah is coming up. And the New York Knicks are rolling. Look, coming off a good win versus the New Orleans Pelicans. They were down early in that game, Chris. Cat was in foul trouble. People were nervous on the timeline. I actually missed the game. I was at a Christmas party, but of course I, try to rewatch as much as possible. But my take on that game, Chris, I like games like that because, it builds kind of mental toughness. I know we can't blow everyone out, and, these games are tough to get up for your opponent. Pelicans are 5-24. They're 4-10 at home. Look, they're dealing with a bunch of injuries. But the New York Knicks just went in there, and like you said, led by our captain, Jalen Brunson, with an absolute masterclass. 39 points, 13 and 19 from the field, 7 and 10 from 3. 6 assists, 2 steals for JB as the New York Knicks just keep on rolling. Knicks are now 18-10 on the season, 10-6 away from Madison Square Garden. Road Warriors are
back.
They're back.
They're
right?
back. We're back.
Yeah. So I look, after coming off a great win previously, and like they're just simply rolling, Chris. I mean, you had that game in Minnesota where they dominated from second quarter on, the Julius Randle, Dante DiVincenzo revenge game, if you want to call it that. But they looked not so great, and Cat was absolutely incredible, and the MVP season for Karl-Anthony Towns continues. Oh man, where do we start with this team? Where do we start with this team, Chris? Honestly,
I mean, hey, you want to touch back on Karl-Anthony Towns back in Minnesota? Having an amazing game there, and obviously, kind of putting all your predictions, making them correct. Karl-Anthony Towns went out there and put on a show. And hey, look, Julius Randle was cooking early in that game, but it's not how you start, it's how you end. And Karl-Anthony Towns got the last laugh when it came against the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yeah, and look, I don't want to give myself props, but this Knicks team, look, the reason why I said I think it'll be a big Knicks win is because we're seeing trends now. Look, we're 28 games in, and the New York Knicks are showing us trends. They get up for big games, and they really play well for these really marquee matchups. Minnesota, Orlando, Phoenix, Denver, Orlando again at home. I'm probably missing one, but they really play well in these marquee matchups. And look, Cat going back home was an amazing win. And, look, you ready for some stats, man? And where I really think the Knicks team is improving, Chris, is defensively.
Yep.
It's honestly hit, would you say it's hit a 180 here? Because over the last 4 games, the Knicks are holding opponents to 99.7 points per game. Knicks are now 12th in the NBA in points per possession allowed at 113.3. And they are not fouling in the midst of that, Chris. 16.8 free throw rate. Last year, we were at a 17.7 free throw rate. Chris, defensively, this team, they were what? A few weeks ago, 22nd, 23.
22nd, 23rd.
And now they're almost in the top 10. How about that?
That's amazing. And
Yep.
then that's what we wanted. We were saying, hey, maybe top 15 will be enough. But, the way that the Knicks are trending right now on defense is exactly what you want to see, especially around this time in the season. Again, the magic number everybody kept floating around, 25, 30 games or so, whatever the case may be. It looks like they're finally clicking. And I think a big part of that is Mikal Bridges, obviously, kind of finding his role, kind of finding his stride, not only on the defensive end, but offensively. He's starting to become consistent, and that was the biggest thing with Mikal Bridges was just his inconsistency. And now he's out there, just giving everybody everybody's catching it. And I love to see it. But yeah, the Knicks as a unit, they are improving tremendously on the defensive side of the ball.
They are. And look, appreciate every single one of you in here. Smash the like button. Join us here in the chat. We'll be answering your questions shortly. So comment down your thoughts about this new New York Knicks team. I see you guys in the chat already. Yeah, Chris, Mikal is playing awesome. Knicks are allowing, so going back, Knicks are allowing 109.4 points per game. And Chris, that's 6th in the NBA. That's 6th in the NBA. In the last 3 games, that they're allowing 97 points per game, and that's number 1 in the league. So the last 3 games, they're on fire defensively, and we could talk through it. But yeah, I think Mikal Bridges obviously is I would say he's the driving force. He's playing well defensively. In the month of December, 21 points per game, 43% 3-point field goal percentage, and 56% field goal percentage. Yeah, man, Mikal Bridges is all the way back. And, we were giving him some patience. He was catching those slings and arrows, but I think he is a major part of why this Knicks team defensively has improved. And look, you have OG Anunoby, which we'll touch on in a second. Cat, which we'll touch on in a second. And even Brunson picking up a couple of steals. But I think that is why this Knicks team is thriving defensively, is because Mikal has sort of picked it up here, and everyone is feeding off of that. And I love it. We were waiting for it, and he's arrived. Right before Christmas, man. We got the gift underneath the tree. Mikal Bridges. I know that's corny. That's corny. I'll stop. That's corny. But yeah, Chris, I love what I'm seeing from Mikal.
What do you think it is when it comes to Mikal? Like the sudden, it's almost like a switch. Obviously, the more time he gets, the better he's gonna feel. But I almost feel like now he's just all of a sudden he's just really confident out there. He's not hesitating, and he's attacking on the defensive end. He's attacking guys. He's bodying them up. He's pressing them up. He's not moving slow like he was. He's just finally getting around the picks that are being set by opponents. He just looks more alive out there. What do you think? What do you think triggered the change in Mikal?
Truly, I just think it was time. It's timing, Chris, because we were saying, and the boring answer was always, look, Mikal was the guy in Brooklyn, and now he's coming back to New York where he doesn't need to be the guy. Coming to a new team, new defensive sets, and we thought you pair him with OG Anunoby, and it should click right away, right? But that wasn't the case. That wasn't the case at all. I mean, his on and off splits through the first 15 games of the season were bad, and now they're pretty much evening it out here. So, look, new situation, new team, and a lot of people were just preaching patience for Mikal Bridges, and he had a resume where you looked at, and you're like, look, he was the second runner-up in Defensive Player of the Year 1 year, and everyone was like, look, that was so many years ago. I get it, but he has a great resume, and it's finally coming to fruition with this New York Knicks team. 28 games in, they're 18-10. and I have a fun trivia question for Chris at the end of the show. But yeah, I mean, he's shooting 47% from corner three as well, which would touch on the offensive side with this Knicks team. And the Knicks, what did we talk about? What is it, 2 episodes ago about the defensive lineup with Mikal and Anunoby? They play better separated. Well, that's starting to evening out here, and their best defensive lineup for the past couple of weeks, it continues to have Anunoby and Bridges in it. It's Brunson, McBride, Sims, Anunoby, and Bridges. So Jericho Sims is in that lineup as well. We saw, fairly good things for him in versus the Pelicans game. So it's just a lot of things. Mikal is a big part of it, but I think the Knicks are finally finding their identity. Definitely on the offensive end, and defensively, it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Yeah, I agree. I know the offense will be there, but the defense, that's what's making me excited now. Because now we're starting to play, that Knicks brand of defense that we've been used to, We weren't sure if it was going to get to that level. And look, it still has a ways to go, in my opinion. But, man, is it a far cry from where we were just a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, so shout out to the squad, man. Look, life is good. Life is good right now. 18-10 on the season, and a couple of Knicks news. So, Chris, today, Landry Shamet, welcome back to the squad. The New York Knicks have re-signed Landry Shamet, and they waved bye-bye to Matt Ryan, unfortunately. Sorry to see you go, Matt Ryan, but it had to be done. Landry Shamet, Chris, we'll talk about the bench in a second, but he's back. He is back.
Yeah, we hinted on that on the last pod. We were like, hey, reinforcements might be on the way in the form of Landry Shamet, and now it's official. Matt Ryan obviously getting waived, which is unfortunate for Matt Ryan. I mean, he didn't really have too much of an impact for us, at least not in the way we thought. Granted, he only had a couple of spot minutes here and there, but I'm excited for Landry Shamet. I think that's going to be a big boost to our bench, which was actually, a little bit of a concern for me in that Pelicans game when, we only got, I think, 6 points the entire game from our bench unit, which was kind of crazy.
Shout out to number 11. That's all I got to say about that. But, yeah, look, Shamet was in the rotation in the preseason, and I'm not sure if Thibodeau is going to throw him to the Wolves and just put him out there. But, yeah, 6 points off the bench versus the Pelicans. You're dead last in the NBA in bench scoring. You're heavily relying on your starters right now.
Yeah.
Not saying that's a bad thing, Chris, but having depth is always important. And look, shout out to Shamet, man. That's a tough injury to come out from, man. I mean, we saw it with Julius Randle, and it's just nice to see Shamet worked his way back, probably worked his ass off in the gym. And now he's back with the squad, and it's going to be interesting the first game. Does Thibodeau run to him? Because does he go 9-man, and you have Precious, Shamet, Payne, McBride off that bench? And obviously, if you need a big, you got Sims over there who's waiting, who has proven to you that he can rebound the basketball for sure this year. And he's a big body. And you're seeing the best defensive lineup has Jericho Sims in it, believe it or not. So I shouldn't say believe it or not. I mean, he's improved. He has, Chris. So I want to shine some light on Sims as well. But, yes, Landry Shamet is back. And, look, I'm excited because I do think Thibs will go back to him. I do.
Yeah. I think so as well, especially, in the preseason, we saw Shamet getting a lot of run. And I know, again, that's the preseason, and you can't really take that with too much, But I think at this point in time, I think having Landry Shamet back, another guy who can space the floor, defend pretty well, I think that's all good news, adds depth to the bench unit, and give some rest to guys like OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges, You don't have to be running those guys out there 40, 37 minutes a night. So that's what I'm mostly excited for, keeping guys fresher. And I think Tibbs is definitely going to go to Shamet. I mean, he played well for us again preseason. And I don't see them, holding on to Shamet and basically doing what they did to ensure that, hey, if you get healthy, we're going to re-sign you if they're not going to play him or if they didn't believe in him.
Yeah, agree. And it's first game back versus Toronto. It's going to be interesting to see where Tom Thibodeau goes with that. But welcome back, Landry Shamet. Hit some of these comments. Talented Nate says, all I'm saying, if we're going to see Shamet runs, I better not hear any hate towards him if he has a bad game. He needs to get runs in with our chemistry, being no different if it was in the preseason game. Yeah, I agree. But, I mean, you can't control some Knicks fans. Chris Carter says, Shamet back. One more left to come. Big Mitch Robinson. Then we will really see what we working with. Matt Ryan was Steve Novak from Timu. Nick Bodega says this chat. Nah, shout out to Matt Ryan.
Yeah, that's foul. That's foul.
Shout out to Matt Ryan. Appreciate every single one of you guys in here. Just chopping it up. Look, Shamet is back. Defensively, the New York Knicks are rolling 9-man rotations. Look, he played 9-man versus the Pelicans. He played Sims, Payne, McBride, and Precious. All got some run because the foul trouble and whatnot. But so shout out to Landry Shamet. Shout out to the Knicks defensively playing well. Offensively too, Chris. They are third in the NBA in NBA team true shooting percentage. They are second in three-point percentage at 39.6. Like we said, Bridges is shooting 47% from corner three. Brunson is shooting 48% from corner three. And Anunoby's numbers have dipped, which we'll touch on in a second. He was actually seen with the infamous tape on his elbow, Chris, which we don't like to see. But offensively, it's more of the same, more of what we've been seeing throughout the pretty much entire season. And the beauty of this Knicks team, which we've been saying, Chris, is look, he's been like rock solid, man. I mean, he's been consistently good on offense. He has been. Sprinkle in I want to say one or two poor offensively, but he's been really consistent offensively, and now you're seeing his defense start to, form into shape.
Yeah.
Brunson, 39, 6, 7 to 10 from 3. He's becoming a 3-point sniper.
He's a sniper.
He's becoming, and that's what I was trying to get at is that's what I love is that one night Brunson can have it, and it's like, okay, Brunson, take us home. You saw Cat, massaging Brunson's shoulders versus the Pelicans, and look, Cat didn't have it offensively. He still got his double-double, which, the streak is still alive. 11 points from Big Cat, and Brunson was like, look, man, I'm not losing this game, and they persevered. They fought back, but offensively, the starting five is clicking on all cylinders. And I know we'll touch on the struggling Anunoby numbers, but Hart 6 to 13 from the field versus Pelicans. But Chris, it was led by our captain versus New Orleans. It was led by Cat and Bridges in Minnesota. It's pick your poison, man. I mean, it's like, come on, pick a name out of a hat. Who's gonna kill you? Who's gonna hurt you tonight? Pick a name out of a hat.
That's the beauty of this team, right? Karl-Anthony Towns obviously in foul trouble in the Pelicans game, and Jalen Brunson goes, hey, you know what? Cat did his thing against Minnesota. Now it's my turn. I'm gonna put the team on my shoulders, and I'm gonna go out there and get this dub. And that's exactly what he did. He willed the Knicks to a victory. 7 of 10 from 3 is ridiculous. And, I gotta say, it was a throwback type of game for Jalen Brunson. He hasn't had to do this much, this season, having the players around him that he has. Last season, it was the norm. It was what we were used to day in and day out. But it was nice to see Jalen Brunson go into that extra gear, that Brunson burner, and just demolish the Pelicans.
JB,
yes, sir.
Man, shout out to JB. Appreciate every single one of you in here. Smash the subscribe button. We talk about Knicks on a roll. They are 18 and 10 on the season, 13 and 4 in their last 17 games. Pretty darn good if you ask me. Defensively, they're forming into shape here. 99.7 points per game in their last 4 games. That is what they are holding their opponents to. That, my friends, is under 100 points. And in a day and age where people are talking about the three, should the NBA change the way they play, the threes this, threes that? Well, the Knicks are allowing under 100 points in their last 4 games. and they're 12th in the NBA in points per possession allowed. And they're playing well, and we talked about how it's led by Mikal, and he's having an amazing month of December. And, yeah, going back to JB, love the way he played in New Orleans. I mean, couldn't miss. You're led by your captain, and it's pick your poison, man. It really is. And like we said, slow start, but I want to see games like that. I want to see this Knicks team be mental toughness. It builds character, you know. I know you see on a schedule like New Orleans, you're like, New Orleans, they're without so many guys. You chalk it up to a dub, but it's not like that in today's NBA. So, shout out to the squad. They got it done. They got it done, though. But, yeah. So, OG Anunoby I think he was seen with a tape on his elbow, right? In the Pelican game. So, his numbers have dipped, Chris. And you could kind of say, like, look, his offensive numbers have dipped. Defensively, he's like 1A. Like, he's still legit. Defensively, he has it. But he's now shooting 33% from mid-range this year. He's 19 of 57. 35% from three. Corner three, Chris, 28 of 83, 34%. And compared to last year, it was 44%. So, Anunoby offensively has kind of hit a dip here. And I guess my question to you and those in the chat is, you've seen him with the tape on his elbow. Do you think it's still bothering him?
I don't know. That's hard to say. I don't think it's bothering him. Do I chalk it up to maybe he's just a little bit tired? Maybe I could say that. You know, I know the Knicks for the most part, you know, they've been running OG Anunoby out there. OG has been playing great defensively, but it seems ever since he had that 40-point night, things just kind of took a turn for him offensively. I think he's a little bit tired, but at the same time, you know, the beauty is that we don't need him to go out there and score 20. But it's nice when he does, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think he's injured. Like that'd freak me out if his elbow has, you know, another setback, because we all know how it went the first time. That lingered for some time.
Somebody mentioned it to me after the Minnesota game, and they asked me if, like, during the post game, they asked me, do I think that his elbow's bothering him? And it's not even his shooting motion, where it's some of his movements that are kind of like funky and that I'm kind of watching, because it can look kind of funky at times with, you know, his dribbling sometimes. And I don't know if it's his elbow. I don't know if it's back to hurting him. I don't want that to speak that into existence. But when a player all of a sudden tapes up his elbow again, you have to figure that he's feeling something. And, you know, the problem is it's not carrying over to him defensively at all. He's still one of the game's best in terms of one-on-one wing defenders in the NBA. So, but again, he can have these slumps, if you want to call them, because your starting five is so deep. Your starting five is elite offensively, that Anunoby can have a month slump of shooting the basketball, and the Knicks don't even blink offensively. And that's the scary part. You know, he can have all of his offensive numbers are down. I mean, 34% from corner three, 33% from mid. I mean, he's never been a good mid-range shooter in his career, but it's the corner threes where I'm a little bit concerned about. He's a career like 40% corner three-point shooter, and it's down to 34%. So, yeah. I don't want to, like, am I concerned? I wouldn't say I'm concerned, but it's something to watch, definitely.
It's something to pay attention to, that's for sure. But I'll also say this, against the Pelicans, he had 16 points. Granted, he had 17 field goal attempts, 6 of 17 to get those 16 points, which, let's be real, that's not great. But if I'm OG Anunoby and my elbow's bothering me, am I putting up 17 shots? Probably not, right? So I don't think his elbow's hurting him too much. I just think I think he's a little bit tired, man. We know he goes 1,000% on the defensive side. Obviously, he's been playing some heavy minutes because of the lack of depth.
Mhm.
So I think that's what it is. And again, with Landry Shamet now in the fold and coming back to the Knicks, that adds more depth to our bench. And ultimately, and I hope, Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby can see, maybe 5 minutes less each if Tibbs plays the rotation properly. So I think that will help.
I think it would too. Look, now that we have Shamet back, I'm hoping that we could be wrong. We could just be like, look, Shamet's back and he could just not play. But I think Tibbs kind of in the preseason, you saw Tibbs kind of trust. Is trust the right word for Shamet? Because he was out there. He has chemistry with Bridges. Bridges talked highly of him.
Yeah.
In the preseason, Campaign he has chemistry with. He's a vet in this league, right? And I think Shamet's a career 38% 3-point shooter, and he's a guard. And you would say, in a perfect world, Anthony or Chris, what do you think the Knicks need off the bench? I would say another wing, right? Another 6'8" to 6'10"-ish, lengthy, strong defensive player that, would be amazing off the bench. But we're working with what we got. And, with Daddy and not, getting the playing time and, Huck Porty still, working his way through the G League and whatnot, I think we saw some trust with Tom Thibodeau in the preseason with Shamet. And that's given me some hope that, look, they just signed him and they waived Matt Ryan. Look, they're like, look, you ready? He's like, yeah, I'm ready. All right, come on back. And that's giving me hope that Tibbs is gonna go to the 9-man. But yeah, that's what I have to say about that.
I think he will. I think he will absolutely go back to that 9-man because, again, I don't think they take the actions they take and bring Shamet back that quickly and just waive Matt Ryan. Granted, Matt Ryan wasn't doing too much for us, but I think they have a plan. I think they wanted Landry Shamet on this team all along, especially because he has that chemistry with Campaign, has that chemistry with Mikal Bridges. I think that's something you just can't discount. And he's a worker, man. We saw in the preseason he was able to knock down shots, play decently on defense. I think we need more of that, more floor spacing, especially with the bench unit, just more options in general.
Yeah, Shamet would definitely bring that. Let's hit some of these comments, Chris. What we say? See any interesting comments in here? Once again, appreciate you guys in here. I saw a comment regarding. All right, this is from. No, I saw a comment regarding Sims. It says Chris Connor says having a big man in the center makes a big difference defensively. Even the center isn't that good. Sims got put in and the other team got shook. Stopped attempting to tack the basket. And Chris, appreciate you with the comment. And look, the numbers don't lie, Chris. We talked about the Knicks' best defensive lineup. It has Jericho Sims in it. And it has Anunoby, and it has Mikal Bridges, and it has Deuce McBride. So the numbers back it up. And having that strong center, that big body presence helps. And, Sims has, look, he's had his moments, right? He's had his moments this year, to say the least. But to say that he's in the best defensive lineup the Knicks have, that's saying one thing, man. And it does help their defense,
Yeah, look, obviously Sims gets a bad rap here and there for, some dumb things that happen. But, look, versus the Pelicans, he was a plus 17. He had 8 boards, 4 defensive, 4 offensive, had a steal, an assist. He does a little bit of everything out there. And honestly, he got a lot better. The stats do show that he does protect the rim pretty well. So, like you mentioned, he is a big body out there. He's strong as hell. Looks a little bit weird and, clunky when it comes to the offensive side of the ball when he tries to do something offensively. But as far as defense goes, he goes out there and he does his best. So, we got to give Jericho Sims some props, no matter how bad it looks at times. Jericho Sims is a good player, man.
Yes. Nostalgic says chat is lit. Stanley Sims moments few and far between. He is a walking turnover with the ball in his hands. Look, nobody's perfect, right? Nobody is perfect is all I have to say with that. But, it like Chris kind of says, I can't stand Sims, but hey, it is what it is. Give props when it is due. And you got to give him props when it is due. So,
Yeah.
but going back to, like El Figgy says in the chat, going back to the Minnesota Timberwolves game when Josh Hart was out with, the personal reason. And that's, it's amazing that, nothing serious is going on with that. And the Presses Achua started with Karl Anthony Towns, and some Knicks fans like that lineup because, I know Randall had that big first quarter, but throughout the game, it was pretty solid from there on out. And, Precious looked good, but passing with the chemistry with Bridges. And so there's a little wrinkle in that as well, is some Knicks fans want, Precious to start, even though I don't think you touch it right now. I don't.
No, I don't. I'm also in the same boat. I wouldn't say, make that change, but I can't lie. I was pretty intrigued by that. You got to see Cat kind of hover around the perimeter a little bit more with Precious out there. Precious was obviously doing his thing and contesting in the paint, which was nice.
Yeah.
Precious even hit some threes, or hit a three, I believe, in that game. So that was nice to see as well. Could it be a little glimpse of the Knicks, kind of plans once Mitch comes back? Maybe you have Mitch out there with Towns. Again, we keep saying that's a possibility, and I think that will happen in some capacity. But yeah, right now I think I'll keep things the way it is. It was nice to see that mix and see it work well with Precious and Towns. But who knows? Who knows what's going to happen down the road?
Yeah, who knows? I don't think you touch what's working right now. Look, your offense is clicking. Your bench is improving with Shamet. The news of the day, those of you just joining, 97 people in here. Smash this thumbs up button. Appreciate every single one of you guys in here chopping it up on the Knicks Nation podcast. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. Come join us here in the chat. But the news of the day is that Landry Shamet is back with the New York Knicks. So, a lot of fans are happy with that move. I'm happy that, Tom Thibodeau has another option off that bench. Chemistry with Bridges, chemistry with Payne. Preseason, it looked good. I mean, he didn't give me I didn't see anything that I hated.
No.
I saw things that I liked in the preseason. I know it's preseason, but yeah, I mean, kind of reset the room a little bit. We opened up this pod about, the Knicks playing extremely well defensively now, and they're 180, man. I mean, early on in the season, they were 22nd or 23rd in terms of efficiency. And now in the last 3 games, they're allowing 99 points per game, 4 games, excuse me. And they are 12th in the NBA in points per possession allowed. And, we talked about how Mikal Bridges has been a huge part of that. And, it's December 22nd. And all we heard from the New York Knicks, Josh Hart, all we heard from Tom Thibodeau, Jalen Brunson, preaching patience for Mr. Mikal Bridges. And now you're seeing it translate on the court. And what I love is that what we said last time is he's playing freely. He's playing loose. He's having fun out there. I mean, I go back to the Minnesota game where he was dancing and, doing his little shenanigans towards the Knicks bench, and you love to see that. And look, it's December 22nd, Chris, but this team, man, the sky's the limit with this team, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Look,
you got to feel good, right?
Yeah,
you got to feel good about it.
You got to.
I mean, look, we were hearing it all, especially about Mikal Bridges, right? The picks that we gave up, it was too expensive. We got fleeced and all that. And look, maybe to some extent you can still say that, obviously it was a big haul that we had to give away. But look, Mikal Bridges is rounding into form, and he looks like the Mikal Bridges we thought we were going to get. And there's still more to come, in my opinion, when it comes to Mikal Bridges. So you got to be happy, man, with the Knicks and where they're at right now.
The expectations have kind of all season, when you made that Cat trade, it was always, you can compete with Boston now. You can. With the healthy Mitch, you can compete with Boston. And now you're starting to see this team click as a whole, offensively and defensively. And they're showing you the chemistry. They're showing you their mental toughness. They're winning on the road. MSG, I mean, we got some winnable games here coming up. They're just Christmas Day. We got the Spurs, and we got the Raptors coming into town on Monday. So, and then you're at Orlando again. Man, I mean, they can't catch a break in terms of injuries. Wagner, who I put on
Wagner's out for the season now.
Who I put on the list is out for the season. So, and then at Washington twice, and then versus Utah. So, look, the month of December into January, we talked about the schedule. Later, I mean, you travel, you don't go on a plane, and pretty much there's a stretch in January where you really don't take an airplane. So you factor everything in, you're 18-10, and the sky's the limit. Are there room to improve? Yeah, there is. I already see some trades in the chat. Do you think, what are the chances Leon makes a trade before the deadline? The thing I love is that, Chris, Leon Rose is always one step ahead. Always, man. And he doesn't wait. And it's not just Leon. It's obviously, you got William Wesley there. You have, a bunch of, smart heads in the Knicks front office. And they're always one step ahead. Made the Cat trade. Everyone didn't like that trade. Not everyone. Whoa, I take that back. They didn't like the Dante part of that trade. And you sold high on Dante. You made the OG Anunoby trade. There was some people who didn't like that trade. So it's always one step ahead. I'm not saying he's not going to – obviously he's going to scour the market come February, and there's always room to improve. But, yeah, when you're working with a great front office and when your team is clicking, that's all you can ask for, honestly.
Yeah. And, I mean, look, fans were going crazy about this team. Obviously the defense was a big issue. They were like, did the front office make a mistake in making these trades, making these big changes after the season we had, right? And look, it's historically Tibbs teams do start slow, and as the season goes on, we tend to gain steam until we're just basically a juggernaut, it seems like, especially the past few seasons. So we're seeing kind of a similar type of trend, now that we're deeper into the season, guys are getting more acclimated. Guys are starting to play more like themselves, including Mikal Bridges. And Karl-Anthony Towns has been nothing but amazing. But it's been a bit of a roller coaster ride, right? So you're going to have the ups, you're going to have the downs. But right now, we're definitely going up. And this Knicks team is just hitting their stride, man. And it's scary to think that they're just going to get better, in my opinion. They're still figuring it out, and they're going to get even better.
Keith Watkins said he's made a deal every single season. Stanley says Magic lost both Wagner brothers and Boncaro. Yeah, man, tough luck over there.
That's tough.
In Minnesota, in Orlando, excuse me. Dibs has no choice but to expand the rotation to 9. Nelly Nell says in the chat. Nelly Nell, man, where you been? Dibs has no choice but to expand the rotations to 9. Look, all we know is Tom Thibodeau was going to do whatever the heck he wants to do. But obviously we want that to happen. Look, Mikal Bridges, I think, is still number 1 in the league in minutes per game at 38.5. You have Anunoby at number 7, 36.6. And Josh Hart at number 4 at 37 minutes per game. So you have 3 Knicks in the top 10 in minutes per game. And we are not the minute police. We are not the minute police. But when we see stuff, we talk about it. And
just some observations.
Just some observations. And look, in the month of early November, when it was essentially a 7-man rotation, we were on here screaming. I was on here screaming after every post game. This cannot happen, and Thibs expanded it. So it's good to see Landry Shamet back in the fold. So, Chris, hit some of these more comments. What we got? What's the most? Let me ask you something, Chris. You come into the season after the Cat trade went down, right?
Yeah.
Your expectations were Eastern Conference, right? Or tell me your expectations. What was your expectations?
Yeah, definitely Eastern Conference. I felt with the Cat trade, we had that piece that's going to compete with Boston.
So now that you see things unfolding, right? especially defensively, which I love. Now that you
Yeah.
see Mikal playing the way he's playing, I think somebody said in the chat where I want to see the Knicks play Boston again. I do too. It's
Same.
going to be interesting to see how Game 1 looks. Then when's the next? I'll figure out when the next time we play Boston. But has your expectations kind of shifted, or had they kind of like stayed the same? Because you know that look, it's 28 games in, a little more than a quarter of the way through the season. Still tempering your expectations a little bit. What do you got? What do you say?
I'm staying even kill. I'm still saying Eastern Conference Finals at this moment. Obviously, as we trend up, I'll get even more excited and I'll get even more bolder. But I'm definitely tempering it. I still think Eastern Conference Finals. And like they're saying, I want to see the Knicks play Boston again because honestly, that's the measuring stick, right? You want to play against Boston. You want to play against Boston when they're completely healthy at that. And hopefully next time we do, we're both teams are healthy and we can see what we're working with.
Nelly Nell says in the chat, before the cat trade, it was Eastern Conference. Yeah. Before the cat trade, it was Eastern Conference. A lot of people put that on the Knicks. And they were one game away last year. Injuries took a toll, but no excuses. And coming into the season before the cat trade, you're like, look, you can make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, but obviously things have to bounce your way. You have to, it's literally like who's healthy in the playoffs. I mean, which is why depth is important, which is why some people have kind of like Knicks really haven't. I don't even want to bring it up. I don't want to say it, but they've been healthy, right? They've been for the majority part of the season. The starting five has been healthy, and I see a concern in the chat regarding El Figgy says I'm worried about OG's elbow. He had tape on it. Yeah, we talked about that, and he's now shooting 23% from three. He can't risk. Yeah, look. Which is why I think the Shamet signing is big. Not big in the sense that he will provide us like massive minutes off the bench, but it's big that, these guys can get an extra 5 minutes to rest. You don't have to rely on them so much because you're seeing a dominant starting five, but this bench unit still has some work. Deuce, I thought he had a great game versus Minnesota, and Deuce and Payne have really, I really like that duo off the bench, but they are still guards, right? And you still have, Precious there. But my expectations, look, this Knicks team, they're 18-10 right now. And the thing I love about this Knicks team is that they get up for these heavyweight matchups. They do.
Yeah.
And if give me a Eastern Conference with the Celtics, man. And look, I might say some crazy things, but I'm telling you, man, I'm not, and I'm gonna respect Boston. I am. This is not disrespecting Boston because they're the defending champs, but sign me up for that series, man. But my expectations have still been Eastern Conference, Chris. But if this Knicks team continues to Eastern Conference Finals, but if this Knicks team continues to play the way they're playing defensively and offensively, they click and you get a 80% of what Mitchell Robinson was off the bench.
Oof. That'd be good.
Then my expectations might shift to the NBA Finals, man.
Are you a little bit concerned?
I don't want to get crazy.
In the same way you said, the Knicks get up for these matchups. Are you a little bit concerned that, the Knicks kind of start to play down to their competition? I mean, especially early in games like we just saw with the Pelicans. Granted, Jalen Brunson rescued us and willed us to that victory. But, we're seeing it with teams that like the Pelicans or at times with, Washington, where the Knicks kind of just fall over themselves. Instead of getting up for these games, they're just starting slow. And sometimes we've seen that they can't overcome it. In the same way they get up for the good teams, you see it being an issue that they just can't seem to hit on all cylinders when it comes to the lower tier teams in the NBA.
I don't have concerns about that, Chris, because I know it's the NBA and these guys are they're human, right? So it's like me and you, like look, we're playing the best of the best tonight. We got to bring our A game. We're waking up, we're hyped for that such game, rather than playing like these scrubs down the street who were like, all right, we can just show up and win. And you don't really. Look. obviously the start to the Pelicans game, you can say was a little bit of a concern for some people, but like the way they finished, it was led by Jalen Brunson and Nelly Nelson says in the chat. Trap games, are a
Yeah,
thing, right?
those
And
are real.
that's the Pelicans game was like you coming off that emotional win in Minnesota. That's a trap game. At Pelicans the next game, and in the beginning part it felt like that, but no. Look, I know you had that bad loss versus Atlanta in MSG, and the Detroit game, which feels like years ago. You know,
Ages ago.
those were your look. The last two times you were home, you lost, right? Versus Detroit and versus Atlanta. So what you want to see them come back, take care of business versus Toronto, take care of business versus San Antonio, and then we just go from there. But
Yeah.
got a couple of comments in the chat before the cat trade. I read that already. If we take off, it's Boston. The West sucks. Do we worry about the Bucks and the Cavs too? I want the 2-3 matchup with Cleveland, especially with Mitch back healthy. With Boston, is all about the big three. If they're hitting them, we're toast. If not, it's all good. And that's the hot topic of the NBA right now is the threes right now that are going on. But Rick says it best. It's about building good habits. That's why it frustrates me when we play down to competition. But lately, this Knicks team has pretty much been rock solid, and it's led by obviously your two big guns in Cat and JB. But we really wanted to shine some light for Mikal Bridges, and he's just been playing amazing, as advertised in the month of December, and it continues. It's going to continue, and we just go from there, Chris. I mean, look, it's December 22nd. I know we're kind of like getting ahead of ourselves. Playoffs are not until like another 4 or 5 months, but it's fun to talk about these things because this is what we expected, right? And
Yeah.
I don't want to be that fan. That the last thing I'm gonna do is like not care about the regular season and just say fast forward to the playoffs. I don't want to be that fan who's like that. I want to enjoy the season. I want to enjoy these games. I want to enjoy these wins, like the win in Minnesota, the big win in New Orleans with Brunson balling out, the Orlando win, the gritty win in Orlando. I want to enjoy the season, enjoy these wins, build these habits, and get the mental toughness, sustain the mental toughness, and just work your way to a good playoff run. But you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, it's one thing to, obviously no longer be the laughing stock of the NBA, right?
Yeah.
But you also got to remember where we came from. So enjoy enjoy the regular season, enjoy the process, the ups and downs, Yeah, it's frustrating, but look, it's been way too long since we've had a competitive team like we've had the past few seasons. So you gotta enjoy that journey. Definitely gotta enjoy that journey. Playoffs is a whole nother animal, but I'm with you 100% on that.
Yes, indeed. El Figgy says, I was hoping the Timberwolves game, we'd have a 30 to 35 point lead by the half. We could see some meaningful minutes for Daddy Kola Kaporti. Yeah, Chris, a lot of people saying, the starters playing a lot of minutes worries them. And I've gotten a couple of those comments in the chat. And yeah, I mean, El Figgy's worried about the elbow. So I don't think somebody asked what's wrong with OG's elbow. I don't think it's a concern right now, but it was an observation that OG Anunoby put elbow on his elbow that was bothering him last year. The infamous elbow, which he was screaming at the game in Portland, where he bent his elbow wrong and he was screaming in pain. People are putting two and two together. They're saying he put tape on his elbow and now he's shooting poorly. So they're pretty much connecting the dots, and that's why he's shooting poorly. But we don't know. I don't think anyone has asked OG Anunoby regarding that. So I could be wrong. If somebody asked him, please let us know. I don't think they've asked him that. But
I don't think so either. I might have missed it, but I hope OG's elbow is fine. I hope it's more of just like let's put this on and see if it changes things,
Rick
So
says he said it's precautionary.
all right. So maybe, hey, maybe if it's precautionary, that means maybe he did feel a little bit something. But let's just hope it's a little something and not something that gets worse.
Yeah, this is from Jalen Brunson. We're in a good space. We're finding ways to win. Most importantly, we are sticking together. Love that quote from our captain, Jalen Brunson. The team is in a good space. They are finding ways to win. Like we said, even though it's the Pelicans, even though they're down X
Yeah,
amount of points on the road, it's always tough to play on the road in this league. And good teams build habits. Good teams find different ways to win every night. And Chris, that brings me back to kind of like a couple of weeks ago. I was saying I want this Knicks team to find more ways to win if they don't shoot the ball well on any given night. I
yeah,
want to see them pick it up defensively and out rebound their opponent and stuff like that. And they've been doing that. They've been doing that.
yeah. I agree. And look, that's the type of game that ultimately you want your team to go through, especially coming out as winners at the end of it. You know, a game where not everybody has it, but you find a way to get it done, right? Those are the ones that build character. Those are the ones that are going to count. And that's what you're going to see come playoff time when you're playing these tight, contested games. You'll be prepared to win more games like that, experiencing games like they just had versus the Pelicans.
Yeah, and yes, indeed. NBA All-Star. The voting is live. Make sure you vote for the New York Knicks. Jalen Brunson, Cat, Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart. What the
Josh
heck?
Hart?
What the heck? Vote for them all. So, Mikal putting up good numbers here. And here are the 2024-2025 NBA Eastern Conference playoff odds.
Love that 100. I
Knicks
love
at
that 100.
100%. Okay.
Feels good.
I think that's a little, why not give us a 99? But look, they're at 100%. And look, we fully expect this Knicks team to make the playoffs, by the way. And
It would be insane if we didn't. I mean, look, Knicks are a lock in my eyes, no matter what.
And I'm sorry if you're a Washington Wizard fan. I'm sorry if you're a Hornets fan. And if you're a Raptors fan, look, Barrett's playing well over there. Quickly, I hope we got to get the update on Quickly. Is he playing versus the Knicks?
Is he still out?
I think he's still out for them. I'll get you guys that update in a second. But exactly 1 year ago, when Becky Hammond said Jalen Brunson is not a 1A dude, total points scored in the year since Becky made these comments, 2,232 points. Jalen Brunson. Hold that.
Beating everybody. Beating Giannis, beating Anthony Edwards, Luka Doncic, Jason Tatum, and Jokic. I mean, come on. What more can you say? I guess I'll just say thank you, Becky.
Thanks, Becky. Wow. Old Head says we have lineup flexibility. Old Head also says Knicks look good on defense when Hart was out and Cat playing with Precious and Sims. Plus Mikal at the shooting guard and OG at their natural positions. Yeah, we talked about it some, that Precious being in there allowed OG to go back to the 3 and Mikal to go back to the 2. And then you have Brunson at the 1. And then you had, Cat at the 5. It puts everyone in the natural positions. It's a lineup where I'm sure Thibodeau's going to look at. And I'll try to find the numbers here really, really quick, Chris. But I just don't see them messing with, like, in terms of, like, closing the games, are you going to play Precious over Josh Hart in any close game situations? Just Josh Hart brings so much to us.
Yeah. I don't see it simply because of, obviously Josh Hart, what he does. He's just a spark plug. He's gritty. He's diving for balls. Hell of a rebounder. He just messes things up for the opposing team. So when it comes to crunch time, when it comes to closing time, I fully expect Tibbs to go with Josh Hart over Precious. But I do see sometimes where it could be a situational type of thing. They saw it once, it worked well. I'm sure we'll see it again, but I don't think it'll be, a dramatic change just to change it because it worked well for one game.
Yeah, and even like I'm looking at the starting lineup. That lineup with Precious, Towns, Anunoby, Bridges, and Brunson had 34 possessions together. I think that was pretty much majority of that was in the Minnesota Timberwolves game. And defensively, it was 111.4 points per possession. Offensively, it was really good at 126.5. So, it's something that Thibs is going to look at. But we touched on Jericho Sims, him being – there's a reason why he's in the next best defensive lineup this season. Bigger body down low, more of a traditional center, and you can switch him. He can quick on his feet defensively. He's underrated. And, Chris, he's kind of been like an underrated rebounder.
Yeah.
So, shout out to Jericho, man. Getting his jersey retired in Minnesota in high school. Love that. What?
No comment.
The guys were there supporting him, and you just team bonding, man. Team bonding.
All right.
So, come on, what you got to say about Jericho? Don't say anything bad about Jericho.
No, I gave him his props earlier. That's all. Jericho's good. He's solid.
He is. All right, so look, Knicks are rolling, guys, and we have some winnable games coming up here. But like we said, it's the NBA. You got Toronto and then the Christmas Day game versus the San Antonio Spurs, which I think is on like ABC, ESPN. I think they have a kids, kind of like a kids game on, I want to say ESPN Plus. I could be wrong, where they have like characters running around. And
is that a mashup, like
yeah,
a SpongeBob?
I think it's, I don't know. It's something cool for the kids. Like, we have daughters, so I'm sure our daughters would enjoy seeing that. It's hard to get them watching a basketball game as is, so maybe they watch it with the toys running around. So, but look, more of what we've been seeing, and this team is absolutely clicking. Rick says it's definitely his new woman making him play well. Let's talk about Jericho. Sims played extremely well against the Pelicans. He did, man. He did. Oh, it's Disney. Okay, Rick said it's Disney. Yeah, it's Disney.
Oh, okay. So, they'll definitely watch that
for
then.
The kids. The kids would be watching the Disney version, and they're just trying to get – look, with the NBA ratings the way they are this season, they're just trying to get as many viewers as possible with, people talking about maybe pushing the NBA season, the start time back to maybe the month of December because you're dealing with football. I don't think they're going to do anything drastic like that, but you have the three-point talk. There's a lot of threes in the NBA. That's why people are not watching it anymore. I don't know. I think it's more to do with football, and football is king right now. So I think as the new year rolls around, we'll start to get more viewership. Hopefully. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I know all you hear now is the three-pointers going up so many that the game is unwatchable, supposedly. So,
yeah. Look,
I know there's some bad teams out there, and when they do it, could be pretty bad, but I don't think basketball is going anywhere. Not anytime soon.
There are things to fix, though. Trying to get that NBA All-Star game figured out, and we shall see with that. All right, Chris, trivia?
Let's do it.
Those of you in the chat, every single week, Chris and I do trivia. Chris is 4-4. I am 4-4. Smash the subscribe button. Smash the thumbs up button. We appreciate every single one of you in the chat. Thank you for joining Knicks Nation, another live podcast episode. All right, Chris. The New York Knicks are 18-10. When was the last time there were 8 games over 500 through 28 games? Is it A, 2012, 2013? I meant to say 2013, by the way. Is it B, 2023, 2024, which is last season? Is it C, 2022, 2023? Or is it D, 1996, 1997?
I want to go with recently. I'm just going to rule out A because you messed up.
Sure about that? I don't know. Talk
Yeah,
to me.
I'm gonna rule that one out. See in the chat, we're getting some D's, some A's. Wow, we got an A and a B. Damn.
Think hard and clear, man. Last year was a good season, Chris.
Last year was a good season.
But that 96, 97, you remember anything about that team?
We got a couple of D's.
And of course, the mellow year.
That's the one I'm leaning towards.
Whoa,
but you know what?
You ruled it out.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna go with the chat. We're getting a lot of D's. I'm gonna go with D. 96, 97. Final answer.
You gonna go with D?
I'm gonna go with D.
There, your final answer.
Final answer.
Final answer. All right. Let me try to. All right, now we're. Boom. There we go. All right. So the question was: the Knicks were 18-10. The Knicks are 18-10. When was the last time they were 8 games over 500 through 28 games? The answer is A, 2012 and 2013. They started 20 and 8.
Did you just fix it?
No, but I said it's. I told you it says 2012 through 2012, but it was 2012 to 2013. That was the mellow year.
I'm just nitpicking.
The answer is A. They started 20 and 8 in that season. D, in 1996, 1997, they also started 20 and 8 in that season. But the last time was in 2012, 2013. So
You know, I keep missing these keywords.
So it's been over 10 years since we've had such a great start. And if you put things in that perspective, it's like, despite all the like chaos, if you want to say chaos, that have as I want to say chaos, despite all the like little things that have gone on this season, people overreacting to Mikal, this and that. They're 18-10, and the last time they were 8 games over 500 through 28 games was back in the 2012-2013 season. So
it's crazy.
It's crazy. Sorry, Chris.
Yeah, it's all good. I should have listened to Tony. He said, I told you twice it was A. I should have went with Tony. My bad.
You seem upset.
I'm on a losing streak, man. I don't like it.
Who got it right? Nelly Nell, A. A lot of D's, man. Yeah, they were 20 and 8 in that season to start the game, but the last time was 2012.
I just missed those key words the last time.
Keith says D. The Heat suspensions in 96, 90. Yeah, but look, that year, let me go back to that year. 96, 97. They were 57 and 25, Chris. They were third in the East. And they started, they were 40 and 15 at one point in that season. And they had 57 wins in that season. And last year you knew it was a bad start to last year. That's why I threw you off.
So good. I'll bounce back.
Hey, don't argue with me. I told you. I told you.
Whatever, man.
Think it through. It's not my fault. Nah, but this was fun.
Nah, this was dope.
All right, appreciate every single one of you joining us. Any last words you wanted to say, Chris, before we head up on out of here regarding this new New York Knicks team?
Excited, man. Keep it up, Knicks. You know, we're on the up and up. So can't wait. Can't wait for the game against Toronto. Can't wait for Christmas Day.
A couple of winnable games here coming up, but like we said, take care of home cooking, and the Knicks have been playing well. Tony says, who was on the 2012 New York Knicks? You got Melo, Jason Kidd, Kenyon Martin. Was Kenyon Martin on that team?
Had Tyson Chandler, I believe.
Novak.
Felton, Novak, Kidd, Pablo Prigioni,
Prigioni, and Amari.
Q Rich, JR, Shumpert,
Ronnie Brewer, Earl Barron, Marcus Camby, Tyson Chandler,
damn,
Chris Copeland.
Kurt Thomas.
Damn,
That was the squad with the vets. That was the squad with the vets.
I remember being extremely high in Chris Copeland. I remember there was games where I'm like, yo, you got to play Chris Copeland, man. He's a sniper.
Do you have a Chris Copeland jersey?
No, I don't.
I thought he was gonna be a sniper too, man. Didn't he end up going to like Indiana or something like that after?
I think he just fizzled off. Raymond Felton, Rasheed Wallace, James White, Quentin Richardson. That was a nice team, man.
Hey, that was under Woodson, right? That was under Coach Woody.
Going back to that, like I know it was 11 years. Yeah, it was under Woodson. Going back to that year, that was probably like, I know prior to like last year and the last couple of years for this Knicks team, that was like one of my best years watching the Knicks. Obviously in the 90s, I vaguely remember stuff. I was born in 91, so just throwing my age out there. So, but I vaguely remember the finals against the Spurs and some of the 90s brawls. I remember somewhat. I try to go back and, brush up on some history and watch highlights as much as possible. But that 2012-2013 season, that was a hell of a year, man.
I thought that was going to be it. That was going to be the one.
Yeah.
My favorite was Shumpert, with all his highlight putbacks and obviously the defense.
Yeah. So, all right, that was fun. Hopefully this Knicks team can take it far. We believe in them. Nelly Nell says no wonder they were 20-8. Yeah, man, they were balling out, man, balling the heck out. All right, guys, this was fun. Episode 92 in the books. 8 more episodes to episode 100, which is kind of crazy. We kind of revamped the website. It's knicksnationmedia.com. So if you guys wanted to check out the new website, that would be greatly appreciated. knicksnationmedia.com. And obviously on Twitter, @KnicksNation. On Instagram, @KnicksNation. Good old stuff. And yeah, man, Knicks games coming up. Toronto, Spurs. Let's get it done, Chris. Let's get it done.
Yep, let's get those dubs. Beat Toronto and beat the Spurs.
Beat Toronto, beat the Spurs. Robert Rivera says, is that the year Hibbert played out of his mind in the playoffs?
Yeah.
It's a core memory, man.
I don't want to even remember that. That's still tough to this day, man. That's still tough. That just dunk. Just one dunk.
There's plays that you'll never forget. And that play, like, I'll never forget. But
I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
And where's Roy Hibbert after that? Nowhere. That's what makes it hurt even more.
I know, but we're past that. But yeah, Roy Hibbert, played out of his mind that year. But this Knicks team hopefully go further than that, and this Knicks team is playing extremely well. Shout out to the boys. Shout out to Brunson. Shout out to Mikkel. Shout out to Cat. Shout out to Hart. Shout out to Anunoby. Rest up, Anunoby. Hope that elbow's good. Hopefully he can shoot the ball at a better percentage. And the bench, shout out to Landry Shamet. Is back in the fold.
Welcome back.
We back. I'm Anthony from Knicks Nation.
I'm Chris.
Catch you guys next time. Peace.
Peace.